Welcome to this lesson on percentages. This is one of the most important topics for the LANTITE Numeracy test. Percentages come up in many forms: discounts, GST calculations, interpreting data, and more. In this lesson, you'll learn how to work with percentages quickly and accurately, including some powerful mental strategies that will save you time on test day. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to convert between percentages, fractions, and decimals confidently. You will know mental shortcuts for common percentages like 10%, 25%, and 50%. You will master the 1% strategy, which lets you find any percentage of any amount. And you will be able to express one quantity as a percentage of another. These skills come up constantly on the LANTITE. Let's start with what percent actually means. The word comes from the Latin percentum, meaning per hundred or out of 100. So 25% means 25 out of 100. You can see this on the 100 grid. 25 squares are shaded out of 100. To convert a percentage to a decimal, divide by 100. To go the other way, multiply by 100. The table on screen shows the most common conversions you should memorize for the LANTITE. Here are the building block percentages you should know. 50%, just divide by 2. 25% divide by 4, or have your 50% answer. 10% divide by 10, which means move the decimal point one place left. 5%, have your 10% result, and 1% divide by 100. The power of these building blocks is that you can combine them to find almost any percentage. For example, 15% is 10% plus 5%. 30% is 3 lots of 10%. 75% is 50% plus 25%. Let's work through our first example. Find 35% of $480. First, break 35% into building blocks. 25% plus 10%. 25% of 480 is 480 divided by 4, which is 120. 10% of 480 is 480 divided by 10, which is 48. Now combine them. 120 plus 48 equals 168. So 35% of $480 is $168. Now, let's learn the 1% strategy. This is incredibly powerful because it lets you find any percentage at all, even awkward ones like 17% or 3.5%. The method is simple. Step 1. Find 1% of the amount by dividing by 100. Step 2. Multiply that result by whatever percentage you need. That's it. Divide by 100, then multiply by the percentage. This works every single time. Let's apply the 1% strategy. A school buys $1,400 worth of textbooks, and the supplier offers a 17% discount. How much is the discount? Step 1. Find 1% of 1,400. Divide by 100 to get 14. Step 2. Multiply 14 by 17 to get 238. We can double-check using building blocks. 10% is 140, 5% is 70, and 2% is 28. Add them up. 140 plus 70 plus 28 equals 238. The discount is $238. Here's a very common LANTITE scenario: GST calculations. A laptop is advertised at $890, excluding GST. In Australia, GST is 10%. What's the total price? Step 1. 10% of $890 is $89. Step 2. Add the GST to the base price. 890 plus 89 equals 979. There's also a handy shortcut. Adding 10% is the same as multiplying by 1.1. 890 times 1.1 also gives 979. The bar diagram on screen shows the base price and the GST portion visually. Now let's look at the reverse expressing an amount as a percentage of another. The formula is part divided by whole times 100. Think of it as what fraction is the part of the whole, then convert that fraction to a percentage. On screen you can see 14 out of 40. 14 divided by 40 gives 0.35. Multiply by 100 to get 35%. This skill is essential for interpreting test scores, data tables, and many LANTITE word problems. Let's practice this with a LANTITE-style question. In a class of 32 students, 8 were absent on Monday. What percentage were absent? Step 1. Identify the part and the whole. The part is 8 absent students and the whole is 32 total students. Step 2. Divide 8 by 32. You might simplify the fraction first. 8 over 32 equals 1/4, which is 0.25. Step 3. Multiply by 100 to get 25%. So 25% of students were absent. Here's a real-world LANTITE-style problem. A furniture store has a 20% off sale. A desk is originally $650, including GST. How much do you pay? Step 1. Find 20% of $650. 10% is $65, so 20% is $130. Step 2. Subtract the discount. $650 minus $130 equals $520. There is also a useful shortcut here. If you are taking 20% off, you are paying 80%. So you can multiply $650 by 0.8 to get $520 directly. Now it's your turn. Pause the video and try these 6 problems. Problem 1. 50% of 740. Use the divide by 2 shortcut. Problem 2. 15% of $260. Try the building blocks approach with 10% plus 5%. Problem 3. Add 10% GST to $450. Problem 4. Express 12 out of 48 as a percentage. Problem 5. Apply a 30% discount to $180. Remember the shortcut of multiplying by 0.7. And problem 6. Find 7% of 900 using the 1% strategy. The answers are on screen. Before we wrap up, let's cover 4 common mistakes. First, moving the decimal the wrong way when converting. Remember, percentage to decimal means divide by 100, which moves the decimal 2 places to the left. Second, adding GST incorrectly. 10% GST on $450 is not $460. You need to find 10% of the amount, which is 45. Third, calculating the percentage of the wrong number. Always identify what the whole is first. And fourth, forgetting to multiply by 100 when expressing an amount as a percentage. Part divided by whole gives you a decimal. You must multiply by 100 to get the percentage. Let's recap what we have covered. Percent means out of 100. You convert between percentages and decimals by dividing or multiplying by 100. The building block percentages 50, 25, 10, 5, and 1% might you calculate most percentages mentally. The 1% strategy is your go-to method for any percentage. Find 1% by dividing by 100, then multiply by whatever percentage you need. To express an amount as a percentage, divide the part by the whole and multiply by 100. And remember the shortcuts. For discounts, multiply by the remaining percentage as a decimal. For adding GST, multiply by 1.1. Practice these strategies and you will handle any percentage question on the LANTITE with confidence.